All right, as I'm setting up here, I am doing a video call with the school today. They're doing like a career fair type thing, and they've asked me to talk about what it's like to be a pastor. So that is what I'm doing, but I am under quarantine, so I'm not able to be there in person. But I figured, hey, as I'm talking to them, why don't I go ahead and record it for you and give you an idea what it's like to be a pastor, at least what it's like to be a pastor for me, because everybody's experience is a little bit different. So that's what I'm going to be recording, and hopefully you can learn something today. So, hello. Yeah, I can. Can you hear me? Okay, awesome. Awesome. So I get to look at everybody's backs. This is great. How you guys doing? Good. I see that Avery is the spokesperson for the class. That's good. Uh, hey, I'm here because I was asked to talk about what it's like being a pastor. And so I don't know. Are we getting started right now, or do we? Awesome. Okay. Well, I guess I want to start off by saying that being a pastor is not the same for every single pastor. So, for example, in town we have three pastors right now. I guess Father John being a priest, is pretty much the same thing, pastor priest. And then I know we have Pastor Rebecca at the Lutheran Church, and then myself. We're the three pastors in town. And if you take a look at our schedule, none of our schedules will be the same. So just start out by that, saying that, hey, three different pastors, three different churches that we pastor at. Our schedules look a little bit different. We're all going to be doing something a little bit different. So what I want to do is just walk through the week with you. So how many of you guys are terrible at listening? There's a kid in the back who's looking at his desk. I see someone in the yellow sweatshirt to the right. Who is that? Who is he? Huh? Is that Hunter? Who's by Hunter? Is that Logan? That's Noop Doll. Noop Doll, wake up. Okay, anyways. Sorry. Distracted. Um, anyways. So we'll start out with Sunday, because Sunday, everybody thinks, oh, pastors only work on Sunday. How am I doing? Are we freezing up and everything? Oh, we froze up. Can you still hear me at least? Okay. I don't know if that's on my end or not. Should I? Okay. We're starting out with Sunday because everybody thinks that pastors only only work on Sunday. So, our church, we do about 35 people on a Sunday. That's what we average. We're a smaller church. And at 9:30 is when I try to get to the church. And for me, every second Sunday of the month, I'm preaching at the Presbyterian service at 9:30. Otherwise, we try to do Sunday school at 9:30 at our church. And that's a Assembly of God church in town. And then 10:45, the main worship service starts. And for each of the pastors, each of the churches in town, we do a rotation at the nursing home. So we go and run a service for all your grandma and grandpas that are in the nursing home there. And I have every third Sunday I'm there, and that starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then depending on the year, there's Kids Club that we do every other week at 6 p.m. on Sundays. And this year we've had enough help to where I haven't needed to step in and help, but next year I will be needing to step in. So that's Sunday. Monday, everybody hates Mondays, right? Because it's the beginning of the week, right? Okay, thank you for the two that responded. I appreciate that. So for me, Mondays are actually my off day because I don't get Sunday off like someone that works a 5 to 9 job Monday through Friday. So I take Mondays off. And then now, like in the spring, I'm usually busy coaching. So I still have to come in and do track at 3:30. So I guess there's that too. So that, yeah. And then Tuesdays, 9, during the week, 9 o'clock. I try to get to the church by 9 o'clock. And then normally pre-COVID days, what I would do at 10 is I would go and visit, again, your grandma and grandpa's in the nursing home there. Everybody in the nursing home, because, hey, they love visitors. They have their activities and everything that they do there, but they love just having people come in and talk to them. So if you have nothing to do, again, I guess there's still COVID precautions, but once everything settles down, I encourage you to go visit them, go talk with them. They have a lot of life experience and cool stories just to tell you. And they would just love it too. But anyways, I do that on Tuesday mornings. And then on Tuesday evenings at 6:30 to 8:30, we have men's group where just a bunch of guys from the church, they get together. They do different things, whether, most nights it's Bible study, but once a month we try to do some type of manly thing, like go shoot guns, go play golf, go do stuff like that, go ride around on ATVs or something like that. Try to do something fun like that. And so my afternoons are usually spent prepping for that, whether that's just a lesson for that night or just prepping for whatever we're going to do. And then the next day, Wednesdays, I would say for myself are probably the second and maybe even it's the first busiest day of the week for me. Because of youth group that night. I'm usually prepping for youth, coming up with the games, with the message all throughout the day. And then youth group, I normally get there around 6:45 p.m. And that goes, this year it's been going until 10 o'clock at night. So that's a good chunk. And because of that, I'm usually dead. I know your teachers feel like this, where they go through school day and they're like, man, I don't want to see you guys anymore. And so I give myself a little bit extra time. No, I'm joking, guys. You guys are great. This lack of laughing at my jokes is really concerning me. I need you guys to step it up. I need some encouragement right now, okay? Anyways, Thursday, I give myself a little extra time because we get done so late on Wednesday night, so I come in around 9:30. And Thursday is a big meeting day. If I have meetings, I try to plan them for Thursday. Our church is finishing up on a building project, so a lot of meetings are happening there. We have board meetings and stuff like that. And then Friday, I do my sermon prep for Sunday, and then Sunday prep for Sunday on Fridays. And because I go to the office and I'm getting calls and there's a lot of things that can distract me or pull me away from doing that, I stay at home and do it there in our little office that we have, but that I'm in right now, actually, that because I'm under quarantine still, sadly. But this is where I do them just to help me not be distracted and be able to get the work done. And then Saturdays is more prep for Sundays. I go in and print off bulletins, set up the computer and everything, plus extra meetings. And so typically that's what a week looks like. And you're like, boy, that sounds like a fantastic week, right? Okay, for a few people. And so that's just a typical week. And then you're wondering, okay, there's a lot of time slot in there. What do you do during those times? And for me anyways, a lot of that time is spent visiting people. A lot of times we'll get invited to people's houses just to eat and fellowship. Sometimes there's hospital visits. Sometimes it's just planning for special events. I'm also the chair of the ministerial association in town. And so, I'm in charge of organizing all the ministerial events. That's the ministerial association is where all the ministers in town, they come together from all the churches and they run different events. And so like Trick or Treat, it's in October, Trick or Treat so others can eat. We got citywide cleanup coming up in May 5th. We're looking at that. We need your help cleaning up the town. I know that is community service hours that some of you who are procrastinating, you probably need some still as you're coming down to that deadline. Perfect time to get some hours. By the way, a little plug for you. And then, like Thanksgiving service, 4th of July service, Good Friday service, Christmas program. That's all throughout the year. And then the ministerial events. And then our church events, church-specific, Harvest Festival in October, Christmas program in December, youth convention, youth camps, VBS in August. We have a Mother's Day breakfast, men's retreat, our annual business meeting, which is actually this Sunday for us. So there's just a lot of prep going into that, our building project. And on top of that, outside of just being a pastor, I'm also coaching track and then also volunteering as an ambulance driver as well. And then on top of all of that too, you have the special events, like weddings or baptisms or, funerals, which I would say when it comes to, I guess, I don't know, I'll let you guys ask questions here pretty soon, but the hardest aspect of being a pastor, I think, is that sort of coaching, counseling time, especially during funerals. Because there's been times where it's either just been me and Father John and no other ministers in town. A lot of funerals have been asked of me, and so you have to think, what do you say at a funeral for someone that you didn't even really know in life? Or what do you say at a funeral for that's like a baby's funeral, an infant that died and something happened and they died? What do you say to their parents? What do you say to their family? Because your job isn't just to talk to them during the service, but your job is to, check up on them afterwards, check up to see how they're doing, a little bit of counseling there as well. And so that's tough. I think for me, since moving here because of the circumstances in town, I've done 12 to 14 funerals. And I've been here for 6 going on 7 years now. I'd probably say that's my least favorite aspect of pastoring because I don't know, it's tough. It's trying to find the words to say, especially if you didn't know the person, is hard. And I mean, that's what the family's looking for. So they're like, well, what do we do now? They always have questions. They always just in that morning time. So, but yeah, that and then hospital visits and other stuff. So I guess all of that coming together, telling you a little bit more about pastoring. You got all the planning and all these things that you have to figure out as well. Depending on the size of the church, for me, because we're a smaller church, I'm usually shoveling snow every time we have snowfall so that we don't have people falling on our sidewalks when they come in for service. I'm like, we put up speakers in the fellowship hall. I had to YouTube how to put up speakers, so how to put in the wiring and set them up and all that just to get that going there. And of course, they're having issues now because a professional didn't come and put them in. I did. So I have to go back to fix that. Sometimes I have to clean the bathrooms in the church. Sometimes I have to do some vacuuming and stuff like that and just some maintenance around the church. I know for other churches that if they're a little bit bigger, they have other people who can take care of that, so the minister doesn't have to worry about that. But since we're a smaller church, I do, so I kind of have to put on a lot of hats. I do. Sometimes I have to do graphic designing, sometimes cleaning, just janitorial work, sometimes maintenance, counseling, kind of coaching, all these different things. So I think for me, I guess, speaking about God, for me, God made me the way I am to be a pastor, because for me, I would not be able to have a job that was from like a 9-to-5 job, just doing the same things over and over and over and over every single day. For pastoring, you can expect something new every single day. So you don't know exactly what the next day is going to look like. And that, for me, just being able to have a flexible schedule to do those things, it helps me survive life, I guess you can say. Because if I were stuck, let's say you're an advertisement company and you're just there calling around advertising for a certain soap that makes your hands feel heavenly or something like that, and you're supposed to sell that day in and day out, I would not be able to do that. I would not be able to sit there and just make these calls. I would die of boredom. And so I'm not sure if you're the same way, or maybe, hey, some of you guys maybe want to be a hand soap salesperson. More power to you. That wouldn't work for me though. So I think God made me this way to be a pastor because, I don't know, it's just, you don't know what to expect each day. So yeah, I think, how much time do I have left? Till 10? Oof. That was only a 10-minute presentation. Okay. Well, are there any questions? And then as you guys are asking those questions, I will think of more stuff to say. But are there any questions that you guys have on what it's like being a pastor? Maybe, I'm not sure if because this is a job fair, so I think next period you guys are listening to more job things. Okay. I'll share with you guys my salary with you guys. I'm open enough to share that. But so pastors, you do not go into ministry expecting to become a millionaire. You just don't. We do have like mega church pastors who are pastoring at churches that have like 1,500 people attending, and they have like 6 services during the weekend. They do get paid more, but again, that's like it kind of mirrors the American economy. That's like 1% of all pastors. The majority of pastors are rural pastors, and rural is like me. Like we're just in smaller towns, working with some people there. For me though, my income totaled up is around 32K a year, but because pastors are considered self-employed, usually every year 3 to 5K of that is given right back to the government to pay for Social Security and things like that. And so about 25, 26 a year. And now different churches will help with that. Like they'll have a parsonage so the pastor doesn't have to come in and own a home or buy a home. So they just stay in the parsonage. They pay for the water bills. They pay for the electric bills. Our church pays for our Wi-Fi and my cell phone bill, which helps out a lot. So all of those things coming together, it makes it possible just to really just be financially free, not having to worry so much about living paycheck to paycheck, being able to put some stuff in savings and even some into investment as well. I know part of that too is that Emily's my wife, for those that don't know, but Emily and I, we took about a year off after we graduated from college and worked on paying off student loans. And by the time we came here, within a few months, we had paid off our college student loans. And so we were without debt, which I encourage you, if you plan on going to college, a huge, huge factor is looking at the price of attendance, because they say, and this was back in my time when I was in high school, so a long, long, long time ago, but they say that if you can't pay off your student loans, I think within a few years of graduating, that you need to look at a different major. Guys, being financially free, being able to not have any debt, whether that's credit card debt, whether that's student loans or whatever, is a huge burden off of your shoulders. So I encourage you guys to be looking at that, especially as you're looking at colleges. Be like, okay, is this degree that I'm looking at, is it going to help? Is it going to pay itself off within a few years? And that should be a big factor for you. And then, I don't know if any of you guys are applying to Harvard, but Harvard can get pretty expensive, or Stanford or something like that too. So be thinking about that as you're going. So yeah, that's the salary for pastor. I know if you go to bigger cities, like if you go to Minneapolis, churches won't have parsonages. And so you pastors there will have to buy their own home, but then the church will help supplement that. They might give them like a housing allowance and stuff like that. But again, each church is different. And then I think I'll let you ask more questions, but the final thing, I got 2 things here. I'm a preacher, and so I can always extend messages pretty easily, but I just lost track of what one of them was. Oh, yeah. Okay. You need to, if you're going, you can't be a minister. You can't be a missionary. You can't be a pastor. You can't be an evangelist, anything like this, if you are not called to do it. So if like you're not feeling, I know we're in school and stuff, I don't know how far I can go with this, but if you're not feeling led by the Lord, because if you're just going into being a pastor or anything just because you think it's cool or whatever, you won't survive. You have to have that calling to fall back on, because there's going to be times where it's tough. And that leads me into the second point, is my argument for the hardest jobs in the world, plural, jobs in the world, is any job where you have to work with people. because people have so many different opinions. People have so many different values, and you cannot predict how everybody's gonna react. And I think, your teachers, they can see that too. Like every single one of you sitting in here, you have different likes, you have different wants, you have different goals. And so you take a group of people and try to put them together. It's very hard because you got one side that thinks this thing, one side that thinks this thing. For example, we're still dealing with COVID. There are some people in our church who were like, hey, we need to not meet anymore. And then there were other people in our church saying, hey, we still need to meet. And then there were people saying we need to keep chairs separate, chairs together. And so many different opinions in one place. And then you kind of need to wade through that to figure out the best option. And so I guess for me, my argument is if you're going into any type of job that you are dealing with other people, be ready, because you're going to have some tough times when people come up and give you their opinions, or you just have to work alongside them. So I guess what are your guys' thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I understand. Okay. When I say toughest, I mean like mentally and like spiritually. I'm not necessarily saying physically. There are a lot tougher jobs out there physically. We go to the western part of the state, you go on an oil rig, you're working 12, 13, 14-hour days on the oil rig. That is a lot tougher job physically than a lot of things. But what do you guys think about that assessment? Yeah. Any other questions? I went to college to be a pastor. Believe it or not, there are colleges for that. I went to college. The reason I ended up in North Dakota, which actually eventually had me end up here, was because I went to college at Trinity Bible College in Ellendale, North Dakota. That's where I met Emily. So that place had a huge impact on my life, because I got married there. It got me to North Dakota, which got me here to Walhalla. I felt called into the ministry when I was like 12 years old, so I knew I was going to be a pastor, but it opened up those doors so that I can get licensed with my district and go to a Assembly of God church and everything like that. So that is what I went to college for. Trinity is a 4-year degree. So my official title was Christian Leadership with a focus on pastoral ministries. And then you get a double degree there, no matter what degree you take. And that second degree is biblical studies as well. So I double majored there. Trinity Bible College, Ellendale, North Dakota. Favorite part about my job? Let me think for a second about that. Favorite part of my job? I think... youth group's pretty cool and all. But I think it is probably the flexibility of my job, which allows me to do things outside of it. Because each day you don't know what to expect. Nothing is necessarily set in stone. And so that allows me, like for the ambulance service, that allows me to take the day shift, because a lot of the people aren't able to take the day shift because of their own jobs. That allows me just to plan times to visit people or do these different things. So I think the flexibility, or coach track as well. So I think the flexibility is probably my favorite part about it.